Slam. In this episode, we got Mark Farner, formerly of Grand Funk Railroad. This is a band that outpaced the Beatles, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, you name it. Rolling Stones in the early 70s. Quote from this episode: "When I died, dude, I was in heaven." Keep listening and hear what it's all about. All right, I'm getting closer to my home. What's up, everyone? Jack Mangan here from Support Life and Music. You also know me. You've seen me around at the Metal Hall of Fame. Sometimes I show up on Jimmy K's The Metal Voice and Metal Asylum. You know, lots of metal in there. Today, we're not necessarily talking metal, but we're talking just incredible. A guy, this is an incredible guest we've got today. He came to fame in possibly the biggest band of the 70s, of course, Grand Funk Railroad. He's been a solo artist for a while, but man, he rocked hard, partied hard, found spirituality, discovered the business part of this, right? And then survived it all, barely, and he's seen it all, man. And he wrote a book about it. Sorry, I'm Mark Farner, man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Jack, man, good to be with you, brother. It's my honor.
I greatly appreciate it. Well, definitely, like I said, we've got lots to cover, but let me just, we'll start off talking about me, right? Because you came on to talk about me, right? Like that's
Hell yeah.
so I grew up. I was born in the 70s, so I grew up like cut my teeth on classic rock radio is what they called it in the 80s and 90s, and they played the hell out of "We're an American Band" and "I'm Your Captain," but man, I feel like classic rock radio did you guys dirty. Like, I would have never known back then that you guys were basically the biggest band of the 70s. Like, is that fair? Is that a kind of a fair statement?
That's a fair statement, definitely. But I think because of the content of I wrote over 90% of the music. So the content of my songs, a lot of it was political satire. A lot of it was just making statements about the reality that we were all living in and having to turn our faces away from it or. Oh, don't look at the man behind the curtain. So we exposed that, not only myself, but Buffalo Springfield, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Four Dead in Ohio. I mean, we were writing songs that the ones who ended up owning mainstream, and it was well on its way in the 70s, that ownership, but it changed hands in 96 when Bill Clinton signed the deregulation of the FCC. That started the razor that went across the throat of rock and roll, and it gave the ones who issue the currencies to the world the control over the media and what message we were getting and who we thought we were and what was that based on. I mean, it is so dynamic, the change that occurred. But because, I was writing about what I was seeing. I mean, I was 15 when I started playing guitar, Jack, and 20 when we had our first million selling album. So that was when it was still in the hands that radio and television was still in the hands of mostly patriotic Americans, moms and dads, grandpas and grandpas, and we had relationship with all the stations that we'd go and play. But yet you don't have that anymore. It's turned into this corporate horse shit. Just putting it mildly.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Yeah, and actually that's fascinating. I wasn't aware of that happening in 1986 under the Clinton administration. Of course, it doesn't matter what stripes they wear, they still out to corporations.
Yeah,
That's.
that's right, brother.
Um, well, let's touch on this a little more. I want to ask like 10, like 100 more questions. But uh, well, did you get a vibe back even the 70s and then going on like it's this whole career? Did you get a vibe like, no, no, man, just sing about the locomotion. Don't go there. Have you gotten that kind of vibe from people like in the industry or even fans?
No, the people that know me, uh, they know who I am. They know what I am, and I'm a Christian. I'm a cussing Christian. I I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in the modern day church at all. It's way splits everybody. It's part of the problem that people can't get together because of their religious persuasion. Forget about your political persuasions. Oh my God. Yeah. So, but I am who I am. I am who my songs say I am, brother Jack.
Excellent. Well, I mean, that's good. So nobody, you're not getting bullshit from Mark. All right, good stuff, man. Well, all right. Well, we are going to take a little bit of a turn. So let's talk about you just like you just said, you were like hit the top of the world at the age of 20. I mean, you're a kid. I mean, like, do you
Yeah.
feel like you feel like you were like in a way in ways you weren't prepared for all that attention and money and success and all that at that young age?
Yeah, that was a big the big part of it because, back then, my mother had to sign the contract, dude, because I was not 21, and you had to be 21 to be, legal to sign a contract with like Terry Knight's Goodnight Productions, where he took the publishing for all of my songs. we we didn't know. My mother knew nothing about the music business. I did not have an attorney, uh, and if I would have had a music business attorney that was savvy to what the groundwork was and to what, how to pursue it, then things may have changed. But I think I got the education that I got, getting burned, and and but you know something, dude, I have this heart that is like for the underdog. I have a heart that is for the downtrodden, and those people that have lifted themselves up by this phony money. Think about that money, man. They're talking about, doing this. Oh, we're going to have us a reset. Well, when you got all that gold and all that silver and platinum, all your precious metals, um, thinking about that when you're trying to digest that shit, because I'm going to be eating the vegetables from my garden out here, which is worth way more. But people have been led to believe in this. Uh, Everything is materialistic in this world, and the phony money that we got. That, oh, it's they're crying about the inflation and the deflation. I mean, it's like the devaluation goes one way and the inflation goes another way. And this can only happen so long, man. That rubber band is going to snap, brother. And so we are, having to deal with the lies that we've been told, and we are operating in our lives on lies that people told us when it gets down to it. And my songs, I hope my songs get to the people's hearts, because that's where I'm aiming. And my latest record, Closer to My Home with Mark Slaughter, uh, that's what we prayed to God that he would, put his hand on this, to make it, that give it the spiritual significance without the bullshit, without any of the lamestream, whip it up. I'm tired of the music that they have shoved down the people's throats, and because they'll play it on their radio stations, and that's all they'll play. They ain't gonna play what I'm putting out, because my message might just change somebody's mind, might just change somebody's heart, and they don't want that. I think it's pretty bad off at this point in time, but my hope is still intact, and my heart is still intact, and therefore we rock forth with vigor.
Nice. Yeah. And hey, I don't want to just go first of all, shout out to Mark Slaughter. Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
What a talent and what yeah, what incredible. We'll get to that. But yeah, but I hear everything you're saying. I don't disagree at all. Like, there's a lot of artifice. Everything's kind of there's a lot of that stuff. But what about I know that's also been a cry for long times is that, that the corporate stuff is phony, that the stuff they're pushing to the top of the pop charts is phony. I mean, how does that fit with your whole career, even with Grand Funk and even afterwards? Like, how has that been something you've been fighting since day one?
No, it's when the people owned the radio and television stations. This is before the deregulation. There was a 777 rule. The FCC had a 777 rule. You could own 7 AM, 7 FM, 7 television stations, which was set in place to prevent what we are now suffering from, the monopolization of the airwaves. And they just play into the money, play into the power, play into, you know, I don't even know what motivates men and women in the industry anymore. It used to be, getting together and we'd play the pop festivals and the people were into it. There was 185,000 people when I played in 1969 at the Atlanta International Pop Festival, Atlanta, Georgia. And dude, w- people have changed big time since then. It's really been, a turn away from the heart. Back then, man, we pulled up on the way to the gig, dude. The U-Haul trailer that my friend who had the van that we were all riding in, he was pulling his U-Haul, and I-75 was not done yet. And I'm riding shotgun, and he had been driving all night. We had to beat feet to get there by the time, stage call, which was at 12 noon for Grand Funk Railroad. So we are just hauling ass. And I wake up like, and I see this sign that says I-75 to the right. And I said, Jimmy, I-75 is to the right, man. And I mean, he was like in this daze going, he had been up all night and he was in this day. So when he turned, Jack, that trailer flipped and broke the safety chains. Forget about the safety chains. Those things don't work. it, it was full of equipment, man. Our speaker cabinets, our amp heads and shit. By the time we took all that stuff out of the trailer, we put the trailer back on its wheels. Part of the lug nuts, all but one lug nut on one side was gone. It just had stripped them out. So we took the lug nuts off the other side and kind of split them up equally and limped it down the side of the road on the shoulder to the next exit. And they had U-Haul trailers there. We did a fast, swap, and we were beating feet and hauling ass again. And when we got there, we started pulling our equipment out. We know we got a 12 noon, stage call. And here it is. It's like 11 something, dude. And all these guys, uh, from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, from Canned Heat, all the roadies that were there, from Hendrix, Joplin, all these people that were there, the roadies, they went, holy shit, man. And everybody put our stuff back together. Guys were soldering the wires. We had to set the transformers on top of the amp, the box, because they ripped off the chassis and the wires all just, everything was broken. The circuit boards were broken. These guys soldered, Frankensteined our shit back together, dude. Unbelievable. But if something like that was to happen today, I don't know you'd get that kind of help. It's so much competition and so much, oh man, I'm better and I'm this band is better. Oh yeah. I'm I'm over that, man. I want it to go back to us musicians being brothers and sisters and leading the way with love, man.
Well, let me. So you guys pulled off the show then, right? Like from the audience, no one could tell that you guys have just been through this crazy.
Nobody could tell except for those amps kind of look funny with the transformers way up on top. You know?
Uh,
Yeah,
um,
it worked, man.
I love it. So, well, is that some of your advice? I mean, throughout this talk, I'll kind of ask a couple of those questions. What is that your advice for musicians out in the field today who are either working hard or who are just getting into it? Like, is that an advice to kind of be more of a brotherhood and sisterhood than
Yeah,
competitive?
yeah, yeah, man. Uh, Music is not a gift, and people. I mean, even with myself. Oh, you're so gifted. No, I'm not. Don't say that shit. I don't want that to get on me. I'm talented. God gave me a talent, and I want to give God the increase on his investment in me. So God is love. I'm going to give love the increase. And that's really uh, who would be against that? Isn't that something that the people's army of planet Earth ought to unite under this banner of love and stop all the bullshit and stop all the wars and stop all the lies that are perpetuating? Yeah. And so for the young musicians, man, I would not want to be trying to start in this day to day. But back then, I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have the video platform to put out a new tune that me and my dogs out in the woods, singing into a microphone. You know, uh, things go viral. And thank God for that, because in that there is some heart when something does go viral, and it's always something that has some heart. It's not the crybaby, whining bullshit. It's gotta lead to a better day, you know. And for that, I encourage uh, my younger brothers and sisters in the music business to stay with your heart and forget about trying to pursue uh, for the for the jack. No, no, no relationship, but the money, dude. And who
What are you
was that?
talking about, man? No, no, go on.
This that the gal that was the singer, the lead singer for Garbage. Man, she had it down. She put out a video that was very much on point. Uh, just discussing how because of uh, the the inflation and the devaluation of money, we are all being compromised and and being paid these streaming platforms fractions fraction of the value of the song is being paid to the creators of the work. Man, that's, you know, I'd hate to be trying to come up as a 20-year-old right now, brother, trying to come on this scene. It's yeah. If you can get it figured out, man, you're a better person than I am. Yeah, I'm along with I can't even remember her name, but I heard her talking about being limited to only the coastal regions because they can't afford to go inland. They cannot afford the transportation to go in and play. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Shirley Manson and garbage. Yeah, that's a great speech she gave. It's basically saying we're kind of hanging it up. We're retiring because of everything you just said. Yeah, I agree, man. It's a hard road, but I salute all the musicians who are the kids and the musicians who are still driving it. Like and that includes you, man. You got, like you said, that last year you got a new album out, so it's not like you're just it's not like you've hung it all up and you've given it all up. So and like I said, I salute musicians who are still going.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
But now, again, I don't want to take up your whole day, so we'll kind of I want to touch on a couple of things, and again, what we're all about here is helping musicians to kind of survive this stuff, and and you I mean, when did you kind of feel like maybe that the partying had gone a little too far? And then part two of that question is like, when do you feel like you turned around? When do you feel like you kind of saved your own life?
Well, the partying went too far when one night at after a gig at Canocti Harbor in California, uh, the drummer came to my room, and this is after the after show party. This is tucking in time, and I hear this knock at the door, and we each got these rooms that have a kitchenette in them. It's kind of nice, you know. And I was going to make me a cup of coffee because I had too much booze already. You know, I want like coffee. I can drink a coffee and go to sleep, dude. That's what it does for me. But anyways, I hear the knock. He comes in and he says, Farner, each one of us need to sign or assign the 1/3 ownership of the trademark that the three guys, we all owned it equally. We all need to assign our ownership into the corporation where it'll have this protective umbrella. And he went on about, the protection. And I didn't finish high school, Brother Jack. And he had gone, I think he did a semester at law school. He definitely finished high school. And I thought that he knew what he was talking about. But in my frame of mind, my judgment was impaired. I'm telling you, booze, that's the first thing alcohol affects is a person's judgment. And I mean, ask the Native Americans. Oh my God. Yeah, they had a lot of shit ripped off from them under the influence. But here I was. I said, well, he wants to make it better for the band. He wants to protect the band. I'm thinking, well, okay. And when I said, okay, he says, oh, well, I'll go to my room and get the papers. And as he left, I'm thinking, why the hell didn't he just bring the papers? But it didn't dawn on me what was going down until I got a notice that I was no longer an officer in the corporation, that I had been voted out. Even though I wrote 93% of the music and was the front man for this band, they fired my ass. And then they wanted to go out on the road and wanted me to, and so it forced me to say, stick it, because I was so pissed off at being taken advantage of and signing my ownership of the trademark into the corporation where it could be manipulated. Now, this is an example, a stunning example of something that is legal because it's two of the corporate shareholders against one. It's legal, but how honest is it? Corporations do this shit all the time. That's what's the matter with the world is corporations, I'm telling you, and corporate conglomerates and that whole structure.
Yeah.
Then
Wow.
that was my wake up call, Brother Jack. And and since then, I died back in 2012 in a hospital in Detroit, in Harper Hospital, on a gurney in the emergency room. I died twice. I was on an external pacemaker, and I'm just going to make this short. I exited. I was happy. I was relieved to be gone from this particular life. And God had different plans for me. Man, I was fighting it. I was kicking and screaming, no, man, I don't want to go back. And it's like, oh, shit, here I go. And I'm slipping back into the bone suit. And then the second reentry back in, I was shown that the downfall of mankind is debt consciousness, DEBT, debt consciousness, and that little four-letter word is the most foul and stinking, uh, derogatory word in any language, debt, because it is a psychological head game, indebtedness. You can't go buy a box of it at the drugstore and dump it on the kitchen table and examine it. You can't buy a 10-yard dump truck full of it and have it dumped in your front yard and wade through that shit and get a good feel for it. No, it's all it's all up here. So knowing that now, I avoid any kind of indebtedness. Even the Bible says, "Owe no man anything except to love him."
Hi, everybody. This is Brian Pulido, publisher of Coffin Comics, and I'm a lifelong metalhead. But I'm here to say, please support Slam, because everybody needs a hand up every once in a while, and this organization is the right one to do the job. Thank you.
But that was Jesus. There was only one Jesus. All I can do is try. And in my trying, I am successfully contending with the this indebtedness. And it's not just monetary debt. That's part of it. That's only part of it. But it is the indebtedness of the unfulfilled expectations that other people have upon us. And when that doesn't happen and we don't make their little party for them, they put us on the shit list. And if it's somebody in the family, and then this other person in the family calls you and goes, "Hey, what's going on with you? Wait a minute, how did you find about what are you talking to me about? This is with such and such and such." That's how it works. This indebtedness, and it's um, even the debt of regret. DEBT is foul, man. If you regret something so bad and oh man, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or oh man, I wish I would have done that instead of doing whatever else I did. This debt consciousness, if we can harness it, and we can, brother, you're hearing my words, and your little computer's going up there, and it's putting this stuff into place. And all the people that hear this that I'm telling you, uh, they're going to start figuring this out. They're going to start working on this, and we will be able to set ourselves free. We can. We have the power, and we got to put all the doubt out of our life, and just install the trust that we have in our own heart and our own intentions. We got good hearts and good intentions, man. And for the young musicians that are listening, man, follow your heart. Follow that heart.
Wow, that's powerful, man. That's a powerful statement, and I think you clarified this, but I'm still gonna just as a quick follow up on this is that so you're not really talking about when you say the debt is really to other people and to the maybe negative stuff in you. It's not to your hopes and aspirations and your heart. That's not what you mean by the debt. I would say that's the opposite, in my opinion, of what you just said. But
Yeah, absolutely. It's
uh,
it's deeper. There's all forms, all kind of different occasions we can become indebted, and we just really got to protect ourselves from that.
I hear you, man. All right. Well, so how much can I get a couple more questions out of you, or how you feeling?
Let's
Feeling
go.
good? Oh. All right, excellent. All right, cool. All right, well, um, so I mean, you've actually touched on you've on your own touched on some of the things I definitely wanted to get to, but let me ask. Let's talk about. And you definitely talked on. All right, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. So
No,
talk to us about.
you're
Well, all right, let me come right out and ask you. So, you've had it, like you said, the album, the 2024 album is great, but It's been since the 90s. I heard what you said earlier, but is there any hope for the fans that we'll see you guys on stage one more time? That we'll see the Grand Funk do one more kind of send off, maybe like Pink Floyd did in the like 15, 20 years ago. Like, is there any hope for that for Grand Funk Railroad?
I have been trying for 20 some years to make that happen. I'm still a shareholder in the corporation, and every time we have a corporate meeting, I bring it up. It's laughed away. But there's, that element. A DEA agent in Washington, D.C. is a fan and a friend of mine said, listen, if what if what you're saying about the way you signed your life away into that corporation, how soon do you think the guy that set that up wants you to be around? Wants you to come back within proximity? Because he told me, people think that you are like they are. That's what they got to go on. They know how they are. They know what they're capable of and what kind of shenanigans or what kind of dark-hearted shit they're able to come up with and then act it out. So they base their opinion of you on that part of themselves. But that's a mistake, man. That's a big mistake. I'm not like that. I'm all about the law. I'm about forgiveness, man. I'm in the forgiveness business.
Nice, I love it. Yeah, and a lot of this keeps coming back to something, you've definitely touched on, and it's clearly a powerful part of who you are. So tell me when your kind of spiritual awakening happened. Like, when did you feel this, or was this there from day one?
No, I think when my dad died, I was 9 years old. My dad was a tank driver in the 7th Armored Division, World War II. He returned back home with 4 Bronze Stars. That he was in 4 major battles and lived through them. A lot of tank drivers didn't get past the first one. We were in inferior machines in the Sherman tank. My mother was the first woman in the United States to weld on Sherman tanks at Fisher Body in Flint, Michigan. So I I have this love for our service people, and because I was raised by people that had the love for service people. And
Let me interrupt. We're actually recording. Now, you're watching this whenever. We're recording this on Veterans Day. So hat tip to everyone, including your dad. So sorry to interrupt, but I had to point that out. Today's Veterans Day. We're recording.
what a great interruption, brother. Anyways, when my dad died, I walked out of the dining room where my mother was just bawling her face off, and my aunts and uncles and her friends were around her in this big farmhouse dining room and trying to just console her. She was losing it, really losing it. So I walk into the living room, um, and I walk in front of the television set that my dad just bought a week before he died. We would listen to the radio prior to that and pop popcorn and let our imaginations, follow Flash Gordon and the Lone Ranger and uh, but I walk in and Billy Graham is doing a crusade in Flint, Michigan at Atwood Stadium. And as I walk in front of the television, he says, "Do you need a touch from God?" And I look over at the TV and I'm going, I'm crying because I just left a room where my mother was losing it. I can't help her, and I don't know what to do. And I hear this guy say, "Do you need a touch from God?" I look at the TV. He says, "Are you hurting? Are you?" He starts just saying these things, and I'm thinking, can he see me? you know, I'm 9 years old. Can he see me? And he says, "Come over here and put your hand on the television set." I walked over there and put my hand on the television set, and I received Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior because I needed something to stop the pain. I needed something to put me back in touch with something solid. And what he was talking, man, when he was speaking to me, that it seemed very solid, very solid. And so at 9, I gave my life to the Lord. But I went out and became a rock star and I did all this shit, you know. Um, but and I left him. He never left me. Never. I left him. But that's where my spirituality comes from. After I died and came back into this bone suit, and even all the bullshit that I committed in my own eyes, you know, back then, when I died, dude, I was in heaven. I'm serious. This was no hell experience. It was relief. Yeah, it was relief, man. It was like going home, dude. Seriously, good. Like, you know, I can imagine a soldier being gone, you know, for 2 or 3 years and then coming home. That's what it was, man. It was like homecoming. Kill a fatted calf, man. Here he is. He's coming home.
That's powerful. Again, greatly appreciated. Powerful stuff. All right, I'm going to ask two more questions, and then I'll let you go. I will not type your whole day. I would love to. I'd love to just say, like, you know what, clear the calendars. We're going to sit here for 6 hours. But I mean, you're welcome. I will say this before we're done. You're welcome back anytime, man. I'm enjoying this conversation immensely.
I
But
appreciate that. Me too.
I'm glad. Well, I'm glad. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Um, So I want to ask about the light and the dark side of some of these legends that you hung out with. You know, because many of them are so many of them left us way too soon, like Jimi Hendrix. You mentioned Janis. So let's talk about the greatness of some of these folks that you know that looked up to you that you hung out with, but also you know the like if like for example, did you see that Jimmy was in trouble, like you know towards the end, like did you see that kind of thing? So that's a big question, but go ahead, you can
Yeah.
take it.
As a matter of fact, we played Randall's Island Pop Festival, and Hendrix was on there, and I mean, you know, a lot of big names back there. But I always look forward to doing the festivals where Jimmy was, because I had made friends with him. He was in my dressing room when I got off stage at the Fillmore East, New York City. And my manager went in front of me, and I'm thinking, what the hell is Terry doing up front? He was always in the back, you know, always, he never led the way. Well, he led the way. And he opened my dressing room door, and Jimmy is standing there with his big hat on and this big smile on his face. And I was so, Jack, dude, I was so like starstruck. I went, you're a great guitar player, man. That's the most intelligent thing I could come up with. I was just like, oh my, because Terry Knight knew that Jimi Hendrix was my guitar god. He was my guy, man. He could make it sing, he could make it talk, he could make that guitar cry, and he did it convincingly, effectively. So we played Randall's Island, and Jimmy's right hand man, Rabbit, comes over to my dressing room because we just got off stage, and I had already put packing blankets up on top of the cab to the equipment truck, this big box truck. And I'm going to get up there because that puts me right level with the stage. And I am going to watch my guitar hero kick back against the packing blankets, leaning back. So Rabbit says, you know, Jimmy wants to see you, Brother Mark. And I said, well, as soon as I get some dry clothes on, man, I'll be right over there. So I get dressed real quick, and I go in there, and Jimmy, hey man, how you doing? To give me a hug, you know. And Rabbit, I turn around, Rabbit's handed me like this $100 bill that's rolled up, and I look, and I see over on the table, I see these snowdrifts I didn't know what it was. I knew, I had never done anything like that before. And he says, "Here, man, get you some of that." And I go, "Oh, no, no, I don't do that. Thank you anyways." And Jimmy looks at me, and it got me, because here he is, my guitar hero, and I would do anything. I was just a young boy, but I would do damn near anything to impress him, to make him know that how much I love him. So Jimmy says to me, "Brother Mark, I wouldn't give you nothing to hurt you." And I'm going, "Oh shit." I said, I can't just whiff that stuff up. I've never done anything like that. I said, "Just give me just a little tiny bit, just the smallest little, just give me a taste of it, and let me see how that works." I said, "I'm not, I'm inexperienced." So Rabbit had a switchblade, and he stuck it in to the snowdrift, and there was enough on the point of the knife. And he says, "Plug your one side of your nose, and I'm going to hold this up there, and then you whiff it up." So I plug my nose. He puts it up there, and I go, and oh, dude, it felt like it kept going right out through the top of my head, up my nose, and out the top of my head. This burn and this, oh my God. So what the hell did I do to myself? Oh my God. And I'm like, my eyes are watering, and I'm trying to recover from that little whiff. And the stage manager opens the door and said, "Jimmy, you're on." And he says, "Oh, well, I gotta go." So those guys, they whiff up those lines that were on that table like a Hoover vacuum. Shoo, shoo. And that shit was gone. And so I go out, I climb up on top of the cab, fluffing up my blanket a little bit. I spin around. I'm not feeling too good. I feel like, hmm, I might have to barf. It was getting to me, this stuff. I didn't know what the hell it was. And so anyway, I'm on top of the truck. I'm watching Jimmy walk out on stage. They put his guitar around his neck. Dude, he was smacked. He was so high, he could hardly walk. And I was thinking, when I saw him do that, man, that those guys are hardcore, because all I did was just the smallest little tiny bit, and they whipped that stuff right up. Anyway, he's trying to reach out and grab his guitar neck, and he's missing it by a foot, dude. He's going like this. And I thought, is he that messed up, or is he just, fooling with us all?
Right.
He was that messed up. This kid gets up on stage, no shoes, no socks, no shirt, a pair of bell-bottom jeans that he walked the excess length off of, just all ragged out, this long, blonde-haired hippie. And he walks up and he grabs Jimmy's guitar neck and Jimmy's hand, and he put them together like that. And Jimmy like looks over at his shoulder, looks over like, "Oh man, thank you," and then he tried to play. As soon as he got his hand on it and he made a little noise, they start the song. The drummer and the bass player start the song. Jimmy couldn't, he was in another world. They were playing a song. Those guys were together. Jimmy was nowhere near them. He was not even in, I don't know if he was in any key. He was just, he couldn't do it. And he walks up to his shit on the floor. He's got his pedals and all this stuff that he used. And he steps on the echo, and it goes like this. And as it's doing that, that stuff in my head is going this, like I'm going, oh man. And now I'm really sick to my stomach, because I let my mind get a hold of that, that sickness I was going through in my belly. I pass out. I fall off the truck. I come to with all these faces looking down at me. Mark, are you all right? Are you all right, man? I'm going, oh, no, hell no. Get me out of here, man. I'm sick. I'm sick. And I puke right there. I just lost it. And they scoop me up, take me back to the hotel, put me in my bed. But that experience was just prior to his exit. And I don't know what he was escaping from, Brother Jack, but he was using the wrong shit to escape. I found out that it was a cross between cocaine and heroin. Man, well, that was last time I ever did it. That scared the shit out of me, man. Yeah, I got sick, buddy.
Wow. Wow, what a story. I mean, how do you follow that? Well, that's an incredible story. But yeah, I mean, it's tragic. I mean, how many more decades of brilliance could we have gotten out of for my mind, the greatest ever to play. Yeah. And what a brilliant mind. I mean, just genius. And we're talking about Mark. We're not talking, this isn't about Jimi Hendrix. We'll have you back on for the episode where we talk about Jimmy, but man, no, another brilliant, brilliant musician, brilliant player, man. Let's go out. Like I said, there's no way to top that story, but let's go out with something you've kind of touched on a lot through this whole episode. I'd love you if you can take us out. All right, I'm going to split this in two. I'm going to cheat and get two things out of you. First, tell people. I always ask guests to help people who are maybe in a dark spot, who are maybe looking at the wrong way out, who are in despair. What's your advice for people to kind of find themselves again and to stay with it and be happy, find happiness?
People that are in a dark spot need love. And now we've already touched on this earlier on in our conversation, brother.
Yeah.
But this is, I would bet dollars to donuts, man. This is because of a debt consciousness that we've allowed ourselves to believe in and allowed ourselves to be compromised by. And here we are with this, whatever it is, that we can't resolve. We need a higher power. And God is love, man. It is not, I mean, there's never the time or the instance when you're completely alone or you're so downtrodden and you're so, without any answer for yourself, that God isn't there with you. And if you can just give to love, because God is love, love yourself enough to pray, to believe that there is someone, this vessel of love, that is hearing not only you, but the millions, the billions that are praying, that need. We're not alone when we're this far down. There's people further down than we are, but we have to get in touch with that inside of our own heart. And it is a seed that was given to each human being. You are part of the Godhead. It is in you. But maybe you are so tender and so powerful in the spirit that the darkness realized that and has pinned you and has selected you, sorted you out of the group and has really come against you. Take that as an honor. Feel very honored that something could have you that could press you so hard, and know that shit loses. In the end, that shit loses. Love wins. Love wins. You stay with love, you'll be a winner. You want to be an A student? Hang out with A students. People need to congregate, need to be around like-minded people to keep each other in check, not allowing, that darkness wants to engulf every good group, every loving, kind group. You don't have to say you're a Christian or whatever. Just, hey, God, the creator. Native Americans didn't call on Jesus Christ. They called on the creator. And he heard. Love hears, man. Love is real. You've got a piece of it. Water that piece. Give your whole heart to that piece. And live in freedom.
All right. What a great conversation, man. Mark Farner, it's been an honor. Why don't I tell you, like I said, I'm cheating. I'm getting one more thing out of you. Why don't you tell people as we're heading out, as we're hitting pause, tell people, where they can find you, what promote anything you want to promote, your old music, your new music, your book, anything you want to promote. And then I'll promise we'll call it. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Brother Jack. MarkFarner.com and all of the, the streaming platforms has me on there. It's a pleasure being with you, Brother Jack. I like your plain straightforwardness, and anytime you want me back, you just give a holler, man. And if you see that we're going to be near you, contact Melissa, because I'd like to VIP you, dude, and see you in person. We'll treat you so many different ways. One of them have to be right.
Sold. Yeah, I'm there for it, man. No, thank you so much.
All right.
Mark Farner, everyone. All right.